one incident took place with me and Srila Prabhupada, and this was in Los Angeles in September of 1968. We were going to record the record album, the Govinda record album. And so early in the morning, he wanted to use his spiritual master's preface to Brahma Samhita. The materialistic demeanor cannot stretch to the transcendental. You know the one I'm talking about. Anyway, he wanted to use that, so he asked me to type it up. I think he wrote it out or something, and asked me to. So I typed it up, typewriter. You know, we use typewriters and this. And he read it to me a couple of times to practice, because we were going to the recording studio around 9 in the morning, 9 or 10, fairly early, and we were going to record this this talk and the Govinda record. I think it's called the Govinda record, right? You know the one I mean. So he read it to me, and I listened very carefully. He would read things to me and see how does this sound, you know, just because I knew English, you know, fairly well. And so he read it to me, and there was one word that he pronounced differently from what is customarily pronounced in the English language. That word is analogously. And so I never corrected Srila Prabhupada before. In fact, I loved it that he called watermelons water lemons. When he would ask me for water lemon, I never said, "Oh, Prabhupada, that's called watermelon." And when he called for some antelope, I never told him that's called a cantaloupe. I was fine with that. I had a very motherly relationship with Prabhupada. I thought he was just whatever he said was wonderful. You know, if the sky was striped pink, green, and orange, fine. But because I was thinking that other people are going to hear this, and this is for all posterity, and they may not understand his accent, and he's pronouncing this word analogously, and they may not understand what that means. So I had very good intentions. My intentions were very innocent. I was not on any kind of ego trip. I was simply thinking, oh, you want your guru to become the best foot forward type thing, you know. So I said, Srila Prabhupada, I think that word is pronounced analogously. He looked at me and said, you pronounce it your way, and I'll pronounce it my way.
I probably got the most severe chastising of my life, which till today helps me. I feel at that time is where I really made contact with Srila Prabhupada as my father. I was watching the other day, you were showing the tapes, and Guru Kripa Prabhu was expressing how he got chastised and how Prabhupada sent him out of the room like a kid. Boy, could I relate to that. I was in Mayapur. It was during this time, and I think it was right after the first day that he had asked me to help the management. So I really didn't get any instruction from anybody on what to do or where to go. So I just immediately took charge, so I set up my little office in a corner somewhere they gave me, immediately went out and started doing what I thought is what I do, right? What I was doing was changing everything he had done. And I was changing the cleanup, and I was changing, I was just out there creating havoc. And he came back on that morning walk, and he went into the temple room to Guru Puj, and the floors were wet because I'd changed everything, and so the system wasn't working. And I was somewhere upstairs, I think maybe changing something else, and he was going up the stairs to his room, and I was starting to come down the stairs, and I had this big smile on my face, and I was expecting some kind of, glorification or something, and he pointed his cane at me, and he looked at me, and he said, "Who do you think you are? You're the king?" And he started just chastising me, and I had an out-of-body experience out of embarrassment, because it was just a few days before the Mayapur festival. Everybody was in town. All the older, devotees who, I always look up to as, your older god brothers, and I was just so embarrassed, and they were all standing there looking at me too. I didn't know where to go, so I just went up to a cloud, was watching the conversation. I was just young, and I had been doing something I shouldn't have been doing and got chastised by him, and I took it hard. I remember I went back to the room, and it's quite a long time ago, and I don't remember exactly the sequences of it, but I practically became physically ill in the sense that I think it was just embarrassment and didn't want to go out in public. And I remember I was laying in bed, and it was the next day, and there was a Guru Puj going on. And I remember one thing. I was in the washroom one day, and Sudama Maharaj came in, and he said to me, because there was this morning walk, and I was always up there on that morning walk with him on the roof, getting a rose, taking off the thorns on the side, cleaning it for him every morning, budding in front of the sannyasis, just, I think I was agitating people too, because I was really, trying to be there and just being on that morning walk. So I stopped showing up on the morning walk. And I think the first morning Prabhupada said, "Where's Mr. Brazil?" And then he started chastising me again when I wasn't there. Oh, he thinks he's the king, and Sudama Maharaj was telling me this in the bathroom. He says, "Boy, are you getting the mercy?" And I was thinking, mercy? Man, I am getting, I'm just waiting for Krishna to breathe me back inside again. It was like it was over for me. I was at rock bottom. You came there, you want to do something, you've been preaching, opening centers, and you come and you want the guru to be happy with you, and I am literally getting yelled at worse than my dad used to do, in front of everything dear to me in the universe, and it was hard, and so I was literally laying in bed in that room down the hall from him. And Guru Puja was going on downstairs, or I heard the greeting the deities, and then Hari Sori Prabhu shows up in the room, and he goes, "Prabhupada wants you at Guru Puja." And then I thought, oh no. I thought it couldn't get any worse, and now I have him, looking for me in the building, and I'm thinking, what, I just didn't know what to think. But I got ready and went down I did what I was told. I immediately took a quick shower, got my dhoti on, went down to the temple room, and Guru Puja just started, right? And I hid behind Guru Das, who was, a good size then. And it was at the back, and the temple room was full. And Guru Kripa Prabhu, I remember he grabbed the mridanga, and he was just going to start leading Guru Puja. And he had just hit the drum, and Shri Guru. And I heard Prabhupada stopped the kirtan, right? And then, the devotees, it opened up. And there was this direct channel between me and Srila Prabhupada. And he pointed at me and he said to Guru Kripa, "Let him lead. He likes to chant." And so, at that moment, I just melted, and that was a very emotional morning program for me. So I think it was the next day that I went up to his room and asked if I could go back to Brazil, and that's when he let me go. And during this time, and during these conversations that I had had with him in the evenings, he had said to me, "You should be in India. It's good for you here." And one funny thing he said to me was, because he knew I was young and passionate, and the sannyasi thing, that ended real quick. I think the first thing he said to me when I got to Mayapur, "So you want to take sannyas or do you want to get married?" So I knew he knew, and at that moment I'd already resigned from the idea.
Then another time, I was alone with Srila Prabhupada talking to him about marriage. It was the day after that sannyas incident, and he let me come in and have private darshan, and he wanted to talk to me about the system of marriage. Well, I asked him, I said, "Prabhupada, can you tell me about married life?" And he said, when the girl is 8, she is betrothed to a husband, and the family has already worked everything out. They come from the same social strata, astrological compatibility, everything's worked out. He said then from 8 till 12, 14, she would go every day to her husband's house, and his mother would train her and how to take care of her son, the way he liked his food cooked, etc., etc. He said then as soon as she attained puberty, they would have sex life. He said, and she would never look at another man the rest of her life. He said, that is marriage. He said, anything else, I do not know.